Good afternoon. I'm going to feed you back with section C, excitement. Okay, so let's just go and have a look at the actual question. Not there. So the actual question was, section C, answer one question from this section. You should spend 1 hour on your chosen questions. Do not retell events from text 1 or text 2 in the extracts booklet. Write approximately 400 words. So you've got, it's better to be safe than sorry, write a true story or imaginary entitled The Accident. Describe the most exciting time in your life. Okay, the most exciting. So they're easy, aren't they? They're not trying to catch you out. They are totally easy. What have I just done with this? I seem to have just lost it. They're not trying to catch you out, are they? So let's open a Google Doc. They're not trying to catch you out. They just want you to write about 400 words on excitement. And I've talked about memorizing stuff, haven't I? Yeah? So you memorize stuff so you can actually do really well by, regurgitating your guinea pig stuff or a description of your mum or whatever it is we've practiced over and over again. The setting of your garden or the setting of your home or the setting of your favourite holiday or your setting of the woods, whatever we've practiced, we've memorised key descriptions so that on the day we do not have to think again, okay? We Trunchbull description, which is of a person, Miss Trunchbull. I'll show you the video, all right? I'll insert it in here. So you can add a description of a person. I'm just saying this before I read this, basically. And then you've obviously got my recipe with the 17 points. Yeah. Okay, and we think of rule of three, we think of all that kind of stuff. We think of emotive language, we think of imagery, we think of sentence structure, we think of 8 types of punctuation. I know you're good at all of this. And you know it all, and it's easy. It's just a set of recipes that they're looking for. When I was 13 years old, not too far away from 14, okay, I got my copy of Super Mario Odyssey. Since my birthday is in November, the game came out in October. I was very excited because I've been waiting since it announced in January. Waiting for January as a 13-year-old felt like waiting forever. This game is looking at not all day by where I forgot about this game. Okay. Got this game twice. You need to probably rephrase that. Rephrase. My awaited treat or my day of joy when it popped through the door. You've got game twice in the wrong thing. We're not happy. You need to just. There you go. All I can think about. Not a day ago, I forgot about this game. You actually, where I remember what you mean to say. It's not a day went by where I did not remember the game. I think you need to rephrase that actually. It sounds like you forgot about the game every day. No, there you go. I remember I was so obsessed that I would frequently check for new rumours or trailers online. Any source of it was enough to get me very excited. Even knowing the name of one of the levels would make me excited. But all of these small acts were basically nothing compared to the announcement made at E3. E3 is an annual gaming convention that video game companies use to announce upcoming games or updates on already known about games. I think that's probably using dashes and hyphens, isn't it? So that's hyphens. It's a hyphenated hyphens, isn't it? It's already known about games. You add hyphens there. You've turned it into games, already known about games. You've turned it into your own adjective. changes location every year, but also around mid-June. Nintendo announced lots of things in a long presentation. They ended it with a new trailer for Super Mario Odyssey that was bursting with new information. They used this trailer to announce the main mechanic, type of game code for the game. Yeah, you probably need to find another word for game, to be honest. You keep saying game. Anyway, repetition of the same word is a bit boring. The capture. What is that here? I don't understand. Is this sort of, is that the name of it, the capture? Is that what it is? I don't know. If that's the case, the capture, it needs a colon. Okay, so I'm going to just do a colon video with you. When you press the Y button, you throw your hat right in front of you. If the hat collides with certain things, if the hat lands on that thing, and Mario captures it, basically possession. You can even do this to living creatures and even a handful of enemies. The captures will have a special property you need to use to progress through the game. A good example of character is a bullet bill. You can use the fly and reach others you can't jump to. Why didn't you do your excitement at getting a guinea pig? You can redo the ones that we've done. We actually wrote some really special ones about your favourite hobby, your lovely little guinea pigs. You need to redo one we've already done together. Okay, so you do it, you get it marked, you get it up to a good standard, and then you redo it. You see, the problem with this is it's just a lot of description. It hasn't really got any of the creative bits in it. It's more like an instructional video piece on Super Mario. Whereas if you did, your favourite pets and the effect the pets have on you and your feelings, your senses, there's no sense description, is there? Yeah, looking over this work, I realised I have more described the game than my excitement about it. After the panic inside, I actually realised something. The reason I'm describing this game so much is because the game is so exciting to me. I think I just enjoy discovering things that I'm interested in. Okay, good. Well, that's a lovely bit of self-knowledge there. But this is an English exam. Okay, and I've actually talked through all the recipe. We've actually, our favourite pets, all ideas around them, awful things that have happened to them. We've discussed with other students. I discussed, their mother and kind of all exciting, brilliant things that happened to their mum and themselves. Other people discuss their dog, and they discuss going for a walk, and they can regurgitate that at any point. Other people discuss foxes. And that wonderful fox and crow that comes to their garden, and then they describe the garden. So all my students do a perfect piece that I mark, and then they're expected to reproduce it in the exam, unless, of course, they want to reproduce something better than we've done together, which is highly unlikely. So I suggest that you go back and you revisit the perfect pieces we did and redo this, please. Using the recipe, okay, which includes sense description, etc. I feel like just making you watch the recipe again, actually. Our favourite pets. I don't know how many times I say it's use pre-prepared work. Well, we've prepped, haven't we? We've prepped. I like that word. We've prepped, haven't we? We've memorised, we've prepped. Why aren't you using it? Prepped creative pieces on favourite, delightful, fluffy balls. Yeah, furry potatoes. All of those things will give you marks, metaphors, similes, adjectives. Yeah? Anyway, so redo that, please. You're right. I mean, that one, okay, what would you have got for that one? C. I'd say you're level 3, you communicate clearly. It's a straightforward use of tone and register. It's about there, isn't it? 5, 6. That level 6. Let me just put that there. So what am I going to give you? 6. So it's broadly appropriate, isn't it? Level 2. So right, clearly using a range of vocabulary. Yeah, you've got accurate paragraphing and everything. Yeah, you use punctuation with control, varied vocabulary, about 5. All right, anyway, I'm just trying to, we've actually prepared this, we've got models, you're not using them. That's the whole point in doing it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Okay, go back to the stuff you've done before that we've been charmed and loved. Remember the gorgeous stuff you wrote before with your mum loved it. Okay, let's go back. What's the next bit then? So we've done that one. 1, 2. Gosh, what's that out of? Section C. 30 marks. So you've got 20 marks for communicate effectively and imaginative, adapting form, tone. Okay, and I haven't really given you many for that, have I? You see, I don't actually know where the grade where it lies. I haven't been standardised, which means you look at a load of papers and we look at it together. So okay, I think I've been a bit harsh. So what am I going to give you? I'll give you level 3. I'll give you 12. All right. So they are 18. So again, it's a pass. 18. It's not very creative, as you rightly pointed out yourself. Here, bless you. You rightly pointed out yourself. True dat. True dat. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find the colon video, which I'm going to show you. So you try and put a colon in, okay? And you haven't really got in. I think you got so excited you forgot to really use all the different 8 types of punctuation. And you haven't really hooked us in. You haven't directly addressed. There's no quotes. There's no dialogue. There's nothing. I feel like just showing you this again, my video, to be honest. Let me show you my video again. And, can I? I don't know. Right, I want you to watch this again because you're just not doing it, are you? So let me play myself here. And then I'm going to do the colons one, all right? If I can make that bigger. Out. Put again there. So I'm just going to do it here, all right? This is a revision video because you're actually forgetting to do the creative. Oh, good evening. It's Miss Snow speaking. It might be good afternoon or it might be good morning for you. But I'm here today to talk about the GCSE writing template. I've produced you a template to help you out to write essays in the exam that hopefully hits the AOs. I want you to include all of this in your essay in order in this order, and it's a bit of fun if you can do a practice one and send it to me. But include all of the below in your essay for fun. So write about being locked out of your house unexpectedly after coming home from school and your parents are away for the evening, at least in this instance for the evening. So you come home, you hope to get into your house and you're locked out. How many times has that happened to you? It's happened to me really, really a lot. So I think it probably happened to you as well. Imagine if you were stuck there and you couldn't get in, and then your parents were due home, and perhaps they couldn't get home till about 12 o'clock. So what happens next? It's a bit of an adventure, isn't it? Whatever happens if you're locked out. So what you need to do is it's a normal experience actually, and you can write about it from a sort of a perspective from your own experience, because that's often the best way of writing from your own experience, not something fantastical, but just something slightly different from your ordinary experience. So the first thing you need to do is to perhaps put some repetition in it. For example, oh no, 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 I'm locked out. Or use rhetorical questions in the introduction. For example, aloud, I said to myself, how did I do this again? Or how did this happen? I've actually done a bit of a first paragraph for you. Freezing cold, bone cold, cold to the core, ice for a heart. I was locked out. Put again there. Sitting in the shed with my head in my hands, I went through all the options again. Aloud, I said, could I phone my aunt? No, my phone was dead. It usually is dead, isn't it? Across the lawn, the garden furniture stood alone, abandoned and dismally crouched on the muddy grass. I stared at them, that's the garden furniture, chewing my lip thoughtfully, my mind racing, running through an imagined future where I slowly expired in our own tatty pine garden shed, gently leaving this world amongst the rusty company of the sad lawnmower, dragged out just once a year by my reluctant father, and the array of chirpy, cheery, plastic, highly coloured shears, trowels and spades, collected enthusiastically by my flower-loving mother. They both seemed a universe from me at this point. The pair had gone to London for the evening to see a show and have a delicious meal in some highly rated restaurant, so I knew I'd not expect to see them for hours. I sighed very loudly. No one would hear. With a rising sense of frustration and annoyance, I kicked the desultory bicycle laying gloomily to the side of me. It heaved, jumped, and bit my toe. Then put a flashback in, because then you'll actually get extra marks for flashback. So flashback, last time this happened, it was high summer, a balmy comma, needs a comma there, a balmy comma, kind comma, July sun grinned down on me. And explain more about, obviously, what happened last time. You want to put 5 paragraphs in here at least. You want to use complex and compound sentences and mix them with simple sentences like, I was cold, or I screamed, or whatever. Put your adjectives in pairs or threes. So, as I did actually put, didn't I? Chirpy, cheery, plastic, highly coloured shears. Put some adverbs in, I vigorously, or sadly, or cheerily, or so to make the verb sound more interesting. Use the rule of 3. So, you can actually describe 3 things: freezing cold, bone cold, cold to the core, ice for a heart. Actually, that's a rule of 4, but you can use, something like that. Have a structure, a beginning, a middle, and an end, really, and the flashback kind of can be a middle, can't it? Use imagery, personification, similes, metaphors, and senses description. That'll take you up the AOs as well. Use flashback as I've done. That'll definitely get you an AO5. And semicolons. Try and use the semicolons again. That'll take you up. Try and use alliteration. A rhetorical question you can quite understand. Question mark. Have you ever been locked out? Question mark. Can you imagine how cold I felt? Question mark. All of those are rhetorical questions. Use some direct speech if you can to show off. All you're doing is showing off to the examiner, really. And use emotive language, and exhibited, supposedly eager and keen to learn, pride ourselves, excel, idle chatter, delighted, saddened, chastened. All of those words are emotive to get us interested. As I said, the rule of three, which I seem to have put in twice, so that's not a problem. Just put the rule of three in twice if you can. Exaggeration, just exaggeration. I think I've done that, haven't I? They both seemed a universe from me. I mean, they're probably only 30 miles away. And you can describe, if someone turns up, you can exaggerate what they looked like. Don't make them look sort of ordinary. Try and exaggerate something about them. Final sentence, try and end it with a flourish. The second part of it, obviously, we're looking at the AOs. So if you actually do all of that, you should actually hit the AO5, communicate clearly, effectively, and imaginatively, selecting and adapting tone, style, and register for different forms, purposes, and audiences. That's obviously to entertain at this point and to try and get ourselves in the position of, sitting in the garden shed with whoever it is. You don't have to be in the garden shed when you write yours, obviously. You can be locked out anywhere. You can go down the road and go and see someone or whatever. Organise information and ideas using structural and grammatical features to support cohesion and coherence and cohesion of text. So you have to try and put lots of nice words in to try and link conjunctions and complex and compound sentences that are kind of more interesting than just I all the way through I. You try and sort of change the word order, basically. Think about the word order, and try and use grammatical features to get your reader excited and not bored. If you don't know how to do it, go and read as many as you can on the internet or email me and I'll send you some examples, because only by reading are you going to actually know how to do this. AO6, candidates must use a range of vocabulary and sentence structures for clarity, purpose, and effect, with accurate spelling and punctuation. This requirement must constitute 20% of the marks for each specification as a whole. So spelling and punctuation is really, really important. So before you send work to me, can you check all the spellings and try and learn some key spellings and key spelling rules? They are marking you on spelling and punctuation. So use Mr. Bruff's punctuation and videos to help you create decently punctuated work. Otherwise you'll drop down the AOs as well. You want to get level 3, 4 or 5, basically. You don't want to stay at the bottom of that. So if you can actually do this for me and email it to me, and I will be delighted to mark it for you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's one video on creative writing, just to remind you, okay? So, let me go and get you another one. Oh, good evening. It's, tell myself to shut up there. So, and then I'm going to get you another video to watch, which is on how to describe people. You could do a description of a person, okay? You could describe your mum, all right? And always put her in, all right? So let me get this description just to try and get you going, because you keep going off in the wrong direction. Where is that? Let's see if it's got it in there. No. Oh, there it's how to describe people, right? Okay, so this one. Video about describing people, and this is that. Okay, so this is actually a really important piece that will help you to describe people. And you just steal. So describe your mum, right? Stealing. So you can say, my mum never walked. She always marched like a stormtrooper with long strides and arms. You can steal it all and describe your mum, just inserting your mother instead of Trunchbull. It doesn't actually matter. Your mum's nothing like that. No one cares. All right, but basically you want something, and this is Roald Dahl. He's one of the greatest writers out of children's books. So you just need to do that. Okay, so hang on, here it is. Can we see this? I'll just move it so that you can see it. Whoops, no. Hang on. Okay, so here we go. I only did this. Oh, actually, I did this. Not very populous, but it's actually really good. All right. So I suggest you've got two bits of homework. You redo all of that with your favourite pets, and you could actually do a description of mother within the favourite pets one, and you excitement. Okay, just a little bit of a paragraph description of mum, and you'll be all right. Okay, so here we go. Actually, from Roald Dahl's Matilda. And he's describing Miss Trunchbull, and he's also describing, well, in this piece, he's describing Miss Trunchbull. Now, this is a really brilliant description of a person. It's really extreme and exaggerated. But what we like best of all about it is that we can steal the ingredients of this description for our own description. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you about it. So Miss Trunchbull, the headmistress, was something else altogether, full stop. She was a gigantic holy terror, a fierce tyrannical monster who frightened the life out of pupils and teachers alike. There was an aura of menace about her even at a distance, and when she came up close you could almost feel the dangerous heat radiating from her, as from a red-hot rod of metal. So there's sense description there. He's saying that, she's radiating red hot heat because she's so violent or menacing, yeah. When she marched, Miss Trunchbull never walked, and there's a lovely dash there. Use of dashes. You should always try and use 8 types of punctuation, and this is a use of dash here. And if you don't know about dashes, there are some videos in my stream about dashes, or I can teach you them. When she marched, Miss Trunchbull never walked, dash. She always marched like a stormtrooper with long strides and arms a swinging. So that's a beautiful image, and all of the best descriptions have always got to have wonderful imagery in them. So it's likening her to a stormtrooper. A stormtrooper is what the Nazis had, I think, and what armies have. They go and storm people. And so they're I think they're the most violent branch of the army. So Miss Trunchbull never walked, she always marched like a stormtrooper. So it's likening her to a stormtrooper, great imagery. With long strides and arms a swinging, dash. Again, another dash, we like dashes. When she marched along a corridor, you could actually hear her snorting as she went, And if a group of children happened to be in her path, she ploughed right on through them like a tank. Ploughed, lovely verb, ploughed. Yeah, and like a tank. So another military image there, like a tank. With small people bouncing off her to left and right. So again, not using going from left to right or moving from left to right, bouncing and ploughing. Lovely creative use of verbs. Then we have a direct address. Thank goodness we don't meet many people like her in this world. And although they do exist, and all of us are likely to come across at least one of them in a lifetime, so basically he's directly addressing the audience, hooking us in now and getting us engaged. Always try and use a direct address if you can. If you ever do, again addressing us directly, you should behave as if you had met an enraged rhinoceros out in the bush. Climb up the nearest tree and stay up there until it's gone away. So this is a really brilliant description. Why do we really love this description? He's calling her an enraged rhinoceros there. And he's saying climb up the nearest tree until it has gone away. So he's using humour as well. So it's got humour, it's got imagery, it's got different types of punctuation, it's got sense description, aura, which means an energy field around her, an aura. The aura, you're supposed to have an auric field. I do yoga all the time, and you have this auric field around you. When you do yoga, you have this aura that you're building up, this energy field. Everyone's got an aura, actually. Everyone's got a different aura. She's got an aura of menace. Your mum has probably got an aura of love. Well, certainly when she's around her own children, she will have. Okay. So auras do exist, and everyone's got one, and we need to work on our aura. This lady's got an aura of menace. In fact, I don't think you can call her a lady. It's more like a tank, isn't she? Anyway, of course it's exaggerated, and it's funny. And that's what you need to do. You need to exaggerate and use imagery, sense description, different types of punctuation, and a direct address in order to engage your audience. Otherwise, it's boring for us. I'm going to carry on reading the next bit. Most head teachers are chosen because they possess a number of fine qualities. They understand children and they have the children's best interests at heart.
They are sympathetic. Lovely short sentence. So do you short and long sentences? They are sympathetic. They are fair and they are deeply interested in education. Miss Trunchbull possessed none of these qualities, and how she ever got her present job was a mystery. So a brilliant paragraph that actually, outlines what head teachers are supposed to be like, and then says this one is nothing like it. It's funny. I like the short sentence. They are sympathetic. Obviously, Roald Dahl isn't doing the exam with me, and I used to be an examiner. Obviously, if I got this in front of me, I'd be jumping up and down in joy, wouldn't I? Because obviously this is absolutely brilliant. But what we can do, obviously, it's Roald Dahl. What we can do is we can steal his ideas, and that's what we're doing. Okay? So the next bit is that she was above all a most formidable female. She had once been a famous athlete, and even now the muscles were still clearly in evidence. So it's a sight, it's doing visuals now. We can see what she looks like. We've seen her aura, we've felt her energy. Now we're seeing what she looks like. Snorted, that's what she sounded like, didn't it? Talk about her snorting.
Yeah.
You could see them in the bull neck, in the big shoulders, in the thick arms, in the sinewy wrists, and in the powerful legs. Looking at her, you've got to think this is someone who'd bend iron bars and tear telephone directories in half. So really exaggerated, really strong, powerful woman. Her face, I'm afraid, I like that bit, her face, I'm afraid, was neither a thing of beauty nor a joy forever. So he's having a right laugh here, isn't he? She had an obstinate chin, so he's zooming in now on her face. Zoom in is what we have to do. So if you're describing your friend, Kyle, what does his face look like? If you're describing your mum, what does her feet look like? What does her hair look like? At this point, Roald Dahl is zooming in on her face. Great description. And it is a rule of three. You always have to say three things about when you're zooming in, or more, but certainly three at least. She had an obstinate chin, that's one, a cruel mouth, and small arrogant eyes. Excellent. Now he zooms in our clothes. As for her clothes, they were, to say the least, extremely odd. She always had on a brown cotton smock which pinched in around the waist, with a wide leather belt. The belt was fastened in front with an enormous silver buckle. So again, he's having great fun describing her clothing. Excellent. So if you were to describe your friend Kyle, or I don't know what Kyle might look like if you had a friend Kyle, he might wear baggy silver sweatshirts and box fresh ginger trainers. He might have a stripe down the side of his head that had been painted purple, and the rest of his hair, his black hair, was shaved, cropped tight to his head. He may have 6 earrings and freckles. Okay, so this description of this Kyle, this imaginary Kyle, is a bit of fun. We're having a bit of a laugh. We don't have to actually say the truth. We want a bit of a laugh with it. Okay. Okay. So if you can have anything you like, but have a bit of fun with it. So she had an obstinate chin, a cruel mouth, and a small arrogant eyes. And as for her clothes, I talked about clothes. So just describe the clothes. They would say the least extremely odd. He always had on a brown cotton smock, which was pinched in around the waist with a wide leather belt. The belt was fastened with an enormous silver buckle. The massive thighs, which emerged out of the smock, were encased in a pair of extraordinary breeches, bottle green in colour and made of coarse twill. So it's a brilliant description, isn't it? She looks very strange. And actually, obviously, this film's been made, and they dress her exactly like this, because it's easy to dress Miss Trunchbull, because you can see what she wears, can't you? Whereas, so in your description, think about, what has this person got on? Can someone then, paint a picture in their head? These breeches reached up to just below the knees, and from there on down she sported green stockings with turn-up tops, which displayed her calf muscles to perfection. On her feet she wore flat-heeled brown brogues with leather flaps. Brown brogues are brown leather shoes that usually, it's quite masculine looking. She looked, in short, more like an eccentric and bloodthirsty follower of the staghounds than the headmistress of a nice school for children. So an eccentric, bloodthirsty follower of the hounds. Eccentric means a bit mad and odd, and bloodthirsty means she likes murder and killing. And staghounds is what English people, rich English people, get hold of horses and they chase across the countryside, chasing stags, or they often chase foxes. And it's not a very pleasant thing to do, to chase foxes or stags, deer across the countryside. And so I think he's saying that she's not very nice. Yeah. This is a powerful, effective description of a strange head teacher. Notice how Dahl goes into lots of detail and it's fun. I'm just going to go through the vocab. Obstinate means stubborn, sinewy means stringy and muscly, eccentric means mad or odd, and staghounds, they're dogs that hunt deer while men and women ride behind on horseback. It's a sport but not very kind. So there's a few things I just want to say about it, and then we'll move on. The longest sentence in there is over 40 words, and there's some very short sentences, okay? So if we look, when she marched, when she marched, Miss Trunchbull never walked. She always marched like a stormtrooper with long stripes and arms swinging. Anyway, so when she marched along a corridor, you could actually hear her snorting as she went. And if a group of children happened to be in her path, she ploughed right on through them like a tank, with small people bouncing off her to left and right. That's a 40-word sentence. To get an A, you need to put 40-word sentences in. Or certainly long sentences, okay? So that is a 40-word sentence. There's also obviously short sentences in there. There's examples of sense description. There's lots of examples of sense description, as I underlined. And there's also lots of metaphors or similes and direct address. So one of the things I'd like you to do is to rewrite a description of your mum, a teacher, or anybody you wish to bring to life for us, the reader. Write about half a page and use Dahl's brilliant techniques and ideas to inspire you.
And here we go. Fred Doss, you are a designer, a speaker, a consultant, and an author.
Don't know who this is. Anyway, so so that's helpful, isn't it, for creative writing, isn't it? So what I want you to do is to write a description of your mother using the recipe and using that wonderful piece on Miss Trunchbull, and you can steal the sentence structure and it'll get stuck in your head. You could even just copy out word for word and insert your mum in there. No one will ever know. When I've actually done this in the past with people, I taught them, and 8 months later they wrote me a piece about something and they inserted the Miss Trunchbull, and I forgot that I taught them Miss Trunchbull, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, this is so good. And then what actually happened was, when they went into the exam, they did exactly the same, and they were predicted 4, and they ended up getting an 8 with me. I actually say it's because they just rewrote that. So I'm just sticking by it, really. You rewrite that, you make sure you know about the dashes, the commas, the colons, the senses, all of the ingredients of the recipe are in there. If you just rewrite that with your mum's name in there, and then just have, the excitement of, I don't know, your Super Mario Dame coming through or something. It's not really about excitement, it's just for how well can you write a creative piece that's interesting. All right, I am going to stop there. I hope that's helpful. How to write a creative writing piece. This is almost an hour now, but I think it's really useful. And actually, I'm not going to stop there, because I'm actually going to go and find you. Actually, I'm going to give you the colon piece as well. YouTube colons. So this is the YouTube colon video I want you to watch. There it is. All right. You can find it yourself if you want.
I just got this paperback and it looks like I'm going to need some help.
Sure. Anything in particular?
Well, every time I tried to use a colon, I pretty much got it wrong.
I'm just going to stop this a second and say you need to use colons, all right? And it's really helpful, this, and you can put colons in, and it'll be one of your 8 types of punctuation. What a great lesson this is.
No worries. Actually, the colon is one of the easier punctuation marks to understand. Let's take a look at your paper. I've got some good news for you. All but one of these mistakes comes from the single most important rule for colons.
Which is?
A colon can be placed only after a complete sentence.
Really? I thought a colon was part of the sentence.
Actually, the colon replaces the period when you, the writer, wish to add something after the end of the sentence. Look at this example. The archaeologist uncovered artifacts of great importance: eating utensils, animal bones, and a burial box. Is there a sentence before the colon?
Yes. The archaeologist uncovered artifacts of great importance. That's the sentence.
How do you know that?
Well, if you put a period after importance, there would still be a complete thought.
Exactly. The archaeologist uncovered artifacts of great importance could stand alone as a complete sentence. So, to add a list or any other type of extra information at the end, we replace the period with a colon.
Okay, that seems simple enough, but where did I go wrong?
Let's look at the sentence you wrote. Read the words before the colon and tell me if they form a complete sentence.
Even small rooftop gardens can produce. Oops. No, it can't stand alone as a sentence. So what do? Not use a colon at all?
That would be one correct choice. Put the list of vegetables as direct objects of the verb. No colon required. Even small rooftop gardens can produce beans, squash, tomatoes, and corn. Your other choice would be to construct a complete sentence. Add a colon, then the list. Now, what could you add to the first part to make it a complete statement?
Let's see. How about even small rooftop gardens can produce a variety of vegetables: beans, squash, tomatoes, and corn.
Excellent. Now, which of the two options do you like better, with a colon or without?
For this essay, with a colon. I wanted to set off the list in order to show how many different vegetables you can grow in your apartment.
That's an excellent reason to use a colon. And now you know how. Let's look at one more sentence from your essay that needs this colon rule applied to it. Apartment dwellers can still enjoy gardening in places such as balconies, rooftops, even kitchens. Is there a complete sentence before that colon?
Okay, you got me. There isn't. But I thought you had to put some kind of punctuation after words like such as to introduce a list.
That's a common misconception. Think of it this way. The colon has the same purpose as such as, to introduce. So using both of them would be redundant. This same rule applies after words like including. Always go back to the basic principle. Use a colon only at the end of a complete sentence. In addition to setting off lists like the one you wrote, colons can also be used to add emphasis to any explanation or example. Look at this sentence. Hollywood's action films are very predictable. Chase scenes separated by love scenes.
I see. The sentence provides a sort of introduction to what comes at the end.
That's a good way of putting it. A colon lets you, the writer, introduce what comes at the end. The colon creates a full stop pause, just like the period does. So the thing that follows receives maximum emphasis. This technique can also emphasize an entire sentence. For example, Americans reacted to the natural catastrophe in typical fashion. Soon, the Red Cross was receiving donations at a record pace. Is placing the colon after fashion correct?
I think so. The colon comes after a complete sentence, so it's okay to be there. Also, the second sentence explains what typical fashion is. But I have a question. Is it okay to capitalize after the colon?
Yes, it is. If a complete sentence follows the colon, it's your choice whether to capitalize the first word or not. Just be consistent throughout your paper.
Okay, I can do that. Anything else I should know about the colon?
The other error that I saw in your paper had to do with the conventional uses of a colon.
What are those?
Conventional use means in special circumstances like time designations, 11:59 p.m., or after a formal salutation, dear sir or madam. In your case, it's conventional to separate a title from its subtitle with a colon. You wrote, Daylight in the Garden of Plenty, Apartment Cornucopias. That's a great descriptive title, but unfortunately you put a comma after plenty.
So it should be a colon instead.
Exactly. In formal writing, you should separate a two-part title with a colon, and be sure to capitalize the first word of both.
Excellent. These rules really help. I definitely see how to use the colon more effectively now.
Right. So I hope you find this helpful, and it's basically everything you need to know about creative writing.
Welcome back.
Everything you need to know about creative writing, basically. Okay, so just remember that for your AQA or your EdXL or your 11 plus, this is all the rules for creative writing. And section C, creative writing, use this. All right, oh look, there's a punctuation masterclass. That might be really good. Who knows? It's got a lot of views. We could have a look at that, couldn't we? I might save that. Anyway, there you go. So this is it. I'm going to put that in spag. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, that's the end. Well done. I hope you bore with me all the way through. And yeah, if you follow these rules, are going to get an A or a 9. And I'm not even joking. You'll be rolled doll. Okay, bye.